these defenses are too multiple. They're too good. They're too talented. Like sometimes third down, red zone, you need a play. I expect A.J. Brown to be that guy, And so I think, and one thing about A.J. that Jalen likes is he catches everything with his hands. He doesn't let the ball come into his body. Gives the defensive backs more time to react. You drop a lot more passes when it comes to your body. Like he just catches the ball, and then he's very like Debo. He's excellent after the catch.
Who stands in the way? Matthew Stafford? Not with that elbow. San Francisco? I don't think so. Green Bay? Tampa Bay just ain't feeling the same. Let's get this man's opinion. Nobody breaks it down like Brian Baldinger, of course, NFL Network analyst. Great to see the NFL Network giving him his time. We're busting into the film room and going to chop it up with our good friend Baldy. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, my man.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, I've been in here since 6 a.m. kind of breaking down this the Bills beatdown of the Rams last night in just about every way that you can beat a team. They did that. So, I haven't seen a quarterback hit 15 times in a game and sack 7 in quite a while. It doesn't happen very often in this league.
Without even blitzing on a single passing down. That's pretty impressive. And
yeah, they got their. Joseph Noteboom really struggled.
Yeah,
he struggled with just about everybody. Epinesa, he struggled with Gregory Rousseau. He struggled obviously with Vaughn. Like he struggled out there. And really, the Rams didn't do much to try to help him either. And that's on Sean McVay. And I'm sure when he goes back and watches it, like he's got to realize that that's not Andrew Whitworth out there anymore. That's a young player that hasn't played a lot. Has never been a starter. He's been a backup. That's different than being a starter. And going up against, the pass rushers that Buffalo has.
Yeah, they had him on roller skates. He looked like he had 2 left feet out there. And on the other side of the ball, the Bills never even punted on any single possession. So this was not just a W. This was a beatdown, as Jalen Ramsey alluded to. They got their ass beat. Yeah. So I must ask you the question. Clearly, the Bills, I think, are the team to beat. But are the Rams still the team to beat in the NFC? Because it seems pretty wide open.
Well, I think preseason matters, Rick. I believe that you got to play in preseason. The Rams don't. That's their philosophy. That's fine. Their guys didn't play. And it looked like they didn't play. They weren't sharp. The offensive line did not play well up front. They didn't run the ball well. While the Bills did play their guys. And, I think it just makes, even if it's a series here and a series there, their precision in the passing game, what Ken Dorsey called up on 3rd and 1 for a touchdown to Gabe Davis, just the execution level all the way around was so much better by the Bills. So I don't want to write the Rams off by any stretch. We saw very little from Allen Robinson last night. We expected to see more from him. And so, 1 catch for 12 yards isn't going to replace, what they had last year with Robert Woods and Odell Beckham Jr. So they've got to get a lot better. The problem is that they don't put a lot of resources into their offensive line. They don't have a single number 1 draft pick out there. They rely on 3rd and 4th round picks. Their 3rd round pick this year is done for the season, Logan Bruss. So they just don't have a lot to work with to try to protect Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I would say that the backfield is full of question marks as well with the whole Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson situation. And one last one on this game. I know it's hard to tell from the film. We heard Stafford had this minor procedure on his throwing elbow. We saw a trio of interceptions last night. Are you, from 1 to 10 on the concern factor scale, are you somewhat concerned, very concerned? Is this something that is going to be an all-season issue?
I wouldn't be concerned right now unless it just continues. Look, the interception by Boogie Basham, he tipped it at the line of scrimmage. That happens. He came down with it. There was a miscommunication between him and Tyler Higbee on the first one when Dane Jackson, picked it off. He thought the tight end was going to sit down. To me, it looks more like just timing than Matt Stafford's elbow. Now, I could be completely wrong here, Rick. Maybe it is bothering him. But, when you get hit 15 times like he did last night, everything's going to bother you today.
All right, Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, here on the Football Playbook debut, a regular of my old show. We got some new digs here, Baldy, and everybody wants to hear your take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's start off on the defensive side of the ball because I was just on the Mac and Mac show. We talked about adding impact players at every level of the defense. Obviously, Jordan Davis up front, Hassan Reddick, Kaiser White at the second level, Bradbury, and now Chauncey Gardner at the back end. And I made the point, like if we had told you after the season that a playoff team was going to add all those pieces, and oh, by the way, add AJ Brown, I mean, wouldn't you like automatically anoint that team to be the Super Bowl favorites?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say Super Bowl favorite. I mean, I don't know that they're better than Green Bay or some of these other teams out there, but they've improved a lot. I mean, they have to still go do it, Rick. I think they have improved the roster tremendously. But you still have to, you still got to go execute the way we saw Buffalo do last night. And so, look, the schedule, what they did to Detroit last year, I think they can do to them again. I mean, they ran for 236 yards last year in Detroit. I see them being able to do the same type of thing this year. But the timing with the receivers and quarterbacks it's got to be precision, Rick. And so we got to see. We got to see if it looks like that come game day. Yes, the roster, they're paper tigers right now, but we got to see how they all play together. I mean, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is an upgrade over anything they had at safety last year, but he still has to learn the system and learn how to play with everybody. And so, we got to see. Sometimes newness leads to breakdowns. And if you break down on the back end of your defense, Rick, you're giving up big plays or touchdowns. So we still got to see it all come together, but the talent is much, much better.
All right, fair enough. Let me get your opinion on defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon, because it seems like every time we have a national member of the media come on the show, they're talking about Jonathan Gannon could be coaching on another team as a head coach next season. Then we get the local beat writers on from Philadelphia, and they're just so agitated by the lack of aggressiveness, the lack of blitz calling, and even the talk of Hassan Reddick dropping back in certain situations. So we get two types of different perspectives. Now, you just mentioned it looks good on paper. Go ask Vince Young. Hey, you got to go out there and execute and mesh these pieces together. When you put on the film, what are you seeing from this Jonathan Gannon defense? Did you notice any different intricacies during the preseason? Can we anticipate a more aggressive defense? What do you think there?
Well, I think last year he tried to be too multiple, try to do a lot of different things without the personnel to do it. And so this year, I think they're going to be a front four dominant defensive line. I think they're going to have 8 guys dressed every week, and they're going to do just a hockey shift. And, Fletcher Cox and, those guys will start inside, but then you'll see Gabe Davis and, the other guys come in the second round. And they're just going to try to keep them fresh and roll them the way they did, 5 years ago when they won a Super Bowl. And I think that's the foundation of what they're going to do. Will they play their safeties in Citizens Bank parking lot, against Kansas City like they did a year ago? I don't think they need to. I think the pressure that they should be able to apply with Josh Sweat and, with the Hassan Reddick and, Derek Barnett, the guys that they have coming off the edge, I mean, they should be much better at being able to get the ball out faster than they did a year ago.
Yeah, and I would argue in this matchup against the Lions specifically, Big V is out, so they got a backup guard. The other guard is vulnerable. Frank Ragnow at center is now questionable. How do you see Jordan Davis fitting into this rotation early on? And does that role grow? I think Fletcher Cox played about 50% of snaps his rookie season. Do you kind of see more or less for Jordan Davis?
I don't know that you can get 50% snaps from Jordan. I mean, I still got to wait and see how he looks conditioning-wise and just moving 360-plus pounds or thereabouts, maybe just 350. But either way, like conditioning has been an issue for big people, not just Jordan, Dexter Lawrence. I mean, big people have a problem with just volume of plays. And so I think they're cognizant of that. We got to see. He wasn't on the field much at Georgia, in some of those games down the stretch, championship game. We got to see if he can affect the quarterback. I mean, it's great if you can eat double teams and Kazir White and TJ Edwards can make a bunch of tackles because you are. That's good. But it's about getting to the quarterback, especially in these big games when you're playing against elite quarterbacks. And we got to see if he can affect that. We don't know yet if he can do that.
All right, Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, here on the Football Playbook. JAKIB Sports channel, taking you up to noon. Sports Take, guys. Let's stay on defense before we flip over to offense. Baldy, couple new starting linebackers in Reddick and White. Edwards maybe has made the biggest strides of any player on this roster. Who's kind of the key link here in that linebacker corps?
Well, I've been saying it for years now, Rick. You want a linebacker, go to Wisconsin. Like, they just know how to groom them and develop them, and they're all over the league. And TJ Edwards is one of those guys. He was a great player at Wisconsin. I don't know what people want him to do. He's everywhere. I mean, he's smart. He's big. He can hit. He covers well. Like, he's an every down player. You're not going to be able to take him off the field. And Kazir White led the Chargers of tackles last year. Now, albeit they weren't a very good defense, but he overcome some injury concerns when he came out of West Virginia, missed a season. But he's been on the field, had an interception in preseason. I think that too. I mean, most teams are playing two off-the-ball inside linebackers, Rick. And that's kind of how I see this Eagles defense. Basically a 4-2-5. And those two linebackers are just those two guys right there. They cut Davian Taylor, who wasn't very good to begin with. But, they've made some changes there. And I think those two guys should be solid and fine. They're not Micah Parsons, but they don't need to be in this defense. So I think they're very, very solid at that position.
Yeah, we saw Vic Fangio hanging out quite a bit there in Eagles training camp. So curious to see if his magic rubs off much like it did for the Rams a year ago, because he was kind of a consultant to McVay during training camp for the Rams last season. So we'll be keeping an eye on that Eagles defense in this Lions matchup. Let's switch over to the offensive side of the ball. And much like I would say Jonathan Gannon has a dart on his back, Jalen Hurts clearly under the microscope here. A lot of talk about a possible contract extension. Is he worth the money? Can he take the jump? Can he become a pocket passing quarterback? But I don't know. I mean, I feel like the Eagles don't necessarily we saw Mike Vick when Jim Mora tried to make him a pocket passer in Atlanta. It wasn't necessarily the best move for Michael Vick. Correct me if I'm wrong, Baldy. Do you not want to see Hurts not just become a better pocket passing quarterback, but also improve at what he does well, which is being a dual threat quarterback?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's going to change, Rick. I mean, he's a big part of the running game. I work out with him a little bit in the offseason. He's very strong. I mean, I don't know if there's a quarterback stronger than him. He could go up toe to toe with power lifters the way that he can, just his body is so strong. He's got to throw the ball with better touch. He's got to see the field better. He's got to throw the ball with anticipation. He's got to trust his protection better than he did a year ago. All those things I think are possible. And I just think that, I think every quarterback just needs a guy they can lean on. Just go to. We see it with Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. We see it with Diggs and Josh Allen. I mean, you got to have a go-to guy. These defenses are too multiple. They're too good. They're too talented. Like sometimes third down, red zone, you need a play. I expect A.J. Brown to be that guy, And so I think, and one thing about A.J. that Jalen likes is he catches everything with his hands. He doesn't let the ball come into his body. It gives the defensive backs more time to react. You drop a lot more passes when it comes to your body. Like he just catches the ball, and then he's very like Debo. He's excellent after the catch. In Tennessee's loss to Cincinnati, the best receiver on the field that day was A.J. Brown. So, I mean, he is a big, really strong, explosive athlete. I think he's going to help. I mean, Devontae is good. He's a good route runner, and he's clutch. And Dallas Goedert is really good. I mean, they've got three really good targets to throw to with an excellent offensive line. Really, you can't build around your quarterback a whole lot better than what the Eagles just did.
That's one heck of a triplet trio to pass to. And we had Mike Selesky on the Mac and Mac show, and he was saying Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown could possibly be the greatest Eagles receiving duo of all time in franchise history. And, you look at the production throughout their careers. Of course, they have to do it together, but it's not hard to fathom that. But I want to go back to what you said about Hurts, because I saw an article, I think, by my good friend Albert Breer over on SI saying, Quincy Avery, who I think was his coach down in Alabama, said Jalen Hurts was so rocked up at Alabama, he was actually built like a running back. And he said it hurt his throwing mechanics. And so this offseason, he kind of lightened the weight or the workload in the weight room. And he's saying that it's kind of improved his mechanics. And along with that has a renowned sense of self-confidence, which, as you know, can go a long way at the quarterback position. Is that something that you agree with, the whole mechanics and being too jacked up?
I agree with that, Rick. I think guys can get, I saw it with Donovan. He would get too big. I mean, guys need a whip. They don't need, an 18-inch bicep. They need a whip to throw the ball with. And so I think guys can make a mistake by trying to get too big on. You look at Tom Brady and how he's built, and Peyton Manning. You look at these guys, and they're not bodybuilders. They're quarterbacks, and you got to be very supple, and and so I do think that I kind of would go against the grain on Jalen and some of the things he does in the weight room, and it'll be interesting to see if what you just said holds up this year, Rick, because I think it's important. It's an important component. And I would agree with what Quincy said at Alabama. I think you can try to get too big and too strong.
Yeah, I think there's something to it as well. All right, I know we got to let you boogie here soon. I want to touch base on the Eagles' bread and butter and your bread and butter. We had our good friend Bob Wiley on last week, and he just sang the praise of the one Jeff Stoutland and what he brings to the table. Is this the best offensive line in football? Are there any concerns on the interior at all, or how do you see it?
I don't have any concerns. Sam Otto was back healthy. There was a big question mark all off season. He had lost a lot of weight after his injury a year ago. Kelsey's going to start on Sunday, but if he can't go at any point during the season, Cam Jurgens certainly looks like he's ready to step in. He played great in the preseason. I agree. Stoutland's unbelievable. I mean, Jack Driscoll is a lot bigger and stronger this year as a backup swing tackle right now. I think he can step into that role. I don't know. Sua Perez just keeps getting better, but they're starting five. I mean, it's as good. I mean, Kansas City is really good, Rick. It's as good as anybody out there right now. And the way that they can move bodies with what Lane is, what Landon Dickerson is, what Jordan Mailata is, if they stay healthy, they'll be one of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines in all of football, in all phases of the game. Protection, run blocking, just dominance. They have that ability.
And, their buddies there in the NFC East, Dallas Cowboys, they are struggling right now on that offensive line. They had to go and bring Jason Peters out of retirement. Now, I know you yourself, I think, you did the reverse. You went from the Cowboys and finished with the Eagles. He goes from the Eagles to the Cowboys. I'm not going to ask you about the impact, but you can tell us what you think the impact will be. But tell me about the mental aspect of just that whole rivalry. How do you change the light bulb and flip the switch there? We saw it with Von Miller, but this is an in-division rival here. Take us through that experience.
Well, it's your livelihood. So, it's a business. So you can trade the uniform in. Randall Cunningham did it. There's been a lot of guys that have gone both ways between the Cowboys and the Eagles over the history. Gary Cobb did it. A lot of guys have done it. But, for the Cowboys to even entertain bringing in Jason Peters, I don't know what his role is going to be just yet. I'm sure they're going to try and get him up to speed at some point to be the starting left tackle so they could kick Tyler Smith back inside at left guard. But, I mean, just the fact that they're in that position right now just lets you know that maybe Josh Ball, the 4th-round pick last year, isn't ready. Maybe their 5th-round pick this year, isn't ready, that you got to go sign a 40-year-old guy that's had injury concerns and an injury history over the last 5 years. So it just lets you know just how concerned they are. If Jason Peters gets himself in a game shape, and, I mean, he can still, at times, look like Jason Peters. He still moves people almost better than anybody else in football in a run game. But, to say that you're going to get consistent football from Jason, 60, 70 snaps a game for week in, week out. I mean, I think that's a very, very difficult to expect.
Yeah, a lot to ask. They'll be right back looking to sign a free agent, I'd love to talk football with you all day, Baldy. You know that. I was told Eric Fisher turned down 9 contract offers. That's a story for another day. We'll get you out of here because I know you're grinding in the film room. You have some NFL Network duties coming up. Are you allowed to give a prediction for this Sunday's Eagles-Lions matchup?
I don't see why not.
Okay. I don't know about your network obligation.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the Eagles went up there last year in week 8. Lions hadn't won a game. They beat them 44-6. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. But I think the Eagles are a much better team. And, look, Hard Knocks was fun. It always is. It's great listening to speeches and getting to know, Malcolm Rodriguez and some of the guys. But the Eagles are just a better team. They're much further along in the development of their organization and what they're trying to do. I think the Eagles are just better. I think they put up a 30 spot, 31 to, 13, something like that. I mean, I think they win handily on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had it 34-17, doubling down on the Lions, taking advantage of that banged up offensive line. Now, where can the fans tune in? I know you were all over the place during the preseason on NFL Network. It seems like you just had a room in the back over there. Are you doing the Sky Sports again this season? You got a regular role now on the NFL Network where we can tune in and definitely find you?
Yeah, I mean, I do my share of shows. They used me a lot this offseason, which was great. I enjoy it, but I can't really just get up here in New Jersey and fly to LA and do a lot. So I do some shows here, NFL Now, some Total Access, maybe some stuff on the weekends. But I'm announcing games for Compass Media every Sunday. I'll be in Arizona for Kansas City, Arizona on Sunday. I'm working for Sky Sports every week inside the huddle with Neil Reynolds, and I'll do their postseason with them. And, I'll be doing all my radio hits for Odyssey. So I've got, I work for 23 different teams, Rick, putting, just film clips and breakdowns for all these different teams in the league. So I'm right where I need to be. I'm right here in the film room doing my thing.
No, that's outstanding. Do we have any trips planned for London or Germany this year or what?
Well, I mean, it had been shut down the last 2 years during the postseason.
Right.
But I should probably be in London for much of the postseason, working with Sky Sports and in their studios right there. I don't know if that Germany game is going to happen. I think we're going to send the NFL Network there, though. I think our pregame show is going to cover that for that Tampa Bay debut there in Germany.
Very cool. Hey, Baldy, man, always a pleasure getting you on the air here, chopping it up. I know our listening audience really appreciates the time. We'll let you get back into the film room sessions, my brother.
Thank you, Rick. Always a pleasure, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Talk to you soon.